A brief intro. Many years ago, there lived two best friends, Ajoke and Abisola. Ajoke was married with two kids, while Abisola was still single, even though age was no longer on her side. This made her bitter and jealous of her friend, and soon plotted within her heart to unalive Ajoke and take her place as the woman of the house. She tried poisoning her but failed. Then she convinced Ajoke mechanic to tamper with the brake of her car. This made her got involved in an accident and was rushed to the missionary hospital a few blocks away. So this is where our story starts. The news of this incident soon spread to Ajoke's village, and her family and her in-laws rushed down to the hospital. Worried and greatly concerned about the well-being of their daughter, Abisola was there too. She was crying, "Oh Ajoke, my dear friend, please don't leave me behind. How can I live without you?" She lamented out loud while shedding some crocodile tears. At the hospital, the doctor fought tooth and nail to save Ajoke's life because the accident was very severe and she was heavy with pregnancy. After 4 hours of carrying out several medical procedures on her, the head doctor finally came out of the emergency ward with a stern face to break the news to them. Ajoke had lost so much blood, she could not make it, he said. She passed away, but miraculously, the baby survived the ordeal, and they had been put in an incubator. The news came as a bombshell to those present at the hospital. They cried and wailed because of the loss of Ajoke. Tunde came back from the sea the following day, only to meet the horrible news of Ajoke's demise. He was devastated. He fainted out of shock, and the neighbors poured a bucket of cold water on him to revive him. When he gained his consciousness back, he wept his eyes out.
Oh Ajoke, my beautiful wife, how can you do this to me? Have you forgotten all the promises you made to me? You promised to stay by my side in our ripe old age. How can you leave me like this? Oh death, you are wicked.
Tunde lamented, crying profusely. Friends and well-wishers in the village all came to comfort Tunde, including, of course, the devil herself, Abisola. She was crying so much that the rest people started comforting her too. They were all aware of how close Abisola was to Ajoke when she was still alive, only if they knew better. "Oh Ajoke, my friend, how can you do this to me?" she said, crying. "You were like my twin sister. I saw you the day you left this wicked world. We even ate together, not knowing the cold ends of death was very close. Now that you are gone, I feel so empty," she lamented, crying the loudest. Since Ajoke passed prematurely, she was buried the very day Tunde returned. She was carried back to her people where the final rites were performed. Amidst great wailing and sorrows, she was loved by everyone. Despite her prosperity, she was never proud. She never oppressed the poor, nor ignored the cries of the needy. She helped with the more she could. Why do bad things happen to good people? This was the thought on everyone's mind. The people around could not help but feel sorry for Tunde and the two little daughters Ajoke left behind. They consoled them, and finally everyone left for their various homes. But Abisola did not leave, but stayed behind to take care of Tunde and the kids. By this time, Tunde was a broken man, mourning the passing of his beloved wife, who left him in a twinkle of an eye, not knowing that the person who had caused him this great pain was right there in front of him. Abisola prepared me for the family and tidied up the home, but Tunde had lost his appetite. He spent most of his days drinking and crying, trying as much as possible to forget about the loss of his wife. While Abisola consoled him, "Tunde, you can't continue like this. Ajoke is gone, and no amount of tears can bring her back, she said calmly, patting him on the arm. Please try and be strong. I am in pain too, but there is nothing anyone can do. Your family needs you most right now, she continued in a calm, soothing voice. With these words of consolation, Tunde started feeling much better. Though he had lost his wife, she had left children behind. He need to take good care of and be a good father too. The following day, Tunde went back to the hospital where the doctors reassured him that the babies were normal and in good condition, and they promised to try their best to make sure the children grow properly. Abisola also followed him to the hospital, even though she seemed very pleased and happy at the news of the twins survivors. Yet deep down, her heart was filled with resentment. She was not happy at all. She wished the children also followed their mother to the grave. Tunde saw Abisola as a family friend, not knowing she was the enemy destroying his home. The news of Tunde's loss got to the captain of the ship he works for, and he was given some time off to mourn his wife and recover from his loss. By this time, Abisola was frequently coming to Tunde's house to cook and take care of the children. In the morning, she will bathe the two daughters, wear them their school uniform, and take them to the missionary school. While they are away at school, she will sweep the whole compound, wash all their dirty clothes, and spread them in the sun to dry. Tunde was pleased at the good work Abisola was doing, so he called her one evening.
Abisola, I've called you to thank you so much for the love you are showing to me and my kids ever since my beloved wife passed on. I just can't thank you enough. You are really a good friend, and I'm glad to know you.
He said in a calm voice. Abisola was silent. Then, in a cool voice, she replied him, Tunde, why are you saying this? You don't need to thank me. Ajoke was my best friend. She was like a twin sister to me. Her children are also my children, and I must love and care for them like she did, she said. Tunde was touched by these kind words from Abisola. He was thankful that his kids had someone like Abisola in their life so that they will not miss their mother too much and end up falling sick. But little did he know that Abisola was a wolf in sheep clothing, waiting for the perfect time to reveal her true characters. So Tunde brightened up. With the awareness that he can't get his wife back, he stopped drinking and spent his time with the kids, playing with them to make them happy. But in all this, there was a growing concern in Abisola's mind. It had been over a month Ajoke passed on, and she had been the one cooking and taking care of the home, hoping Tunde will notice her hard work and marry her. But Tunde seems not to be interested in her. He see her as a family friend who was just helping. This made Abisola very angry because this was not what she bargained for, and dreads the thought of Tunde remarrying another woman instead of her. She knew she had to do something and do it really fast so that she can secure her spot firmly in Ajoke's position. After a while of brainstorming, a very idiot idea came into her mind. She decided she will seduce Tunde so that they can have an affair that will eventually lead to marriage. But well, it was not going to be an easy ride as she expected. She tried all she could, but Tunde was not just into her. She wore provocative dresses at Tunde's place that will make her shape more curving when doing the house chores. When walking, whenever she noticed Tunde approaching, she would shake her boot off softly in a provocative manner, hoping he could understand the signal. But Tunde was not just getting it. He thought she was just being herself. This made her really angry. Out of anger and frustration, Abisola decided to do the unthinkable. One evening, after the children have gone to bed, Tunde was seated alone in the sitting room. Abisola did not go home that night. She decided to sleep over at Tunde's place. Little did he know that she had some other intentions in her heart. Wearing nothing inside other than a single wrapper tied around her, she went to the bedroom to take a bath. She had to pass through the sitting room before entering the bathroom, and she had to pass through the sitting room once more before she can access her bedroom. Tunde was seated right there in the sitting room, not knowing that he was about to receive the greatest shock of his life. Hey, before we jump right back into this story, today's warm up goes to Miss Jennifer watching our video from Jamaica and Miss Favor watching our video from Turkey. Thanks for the love and support. Where are you watching our stories from? Type it in the comment section so I can send you a hug in the next episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Anita Chocolates. Alright, back to the story. Tunde was relaxing right there in the sitting room with no idea of what was coming for him. Soon, Abisola finished bathing and came out from the bathroom into the sitting room. Right there, she intentionally allowed the cloths tied around her to fall off her body right in front of Tunde. For a moment, Tunde's eyes were glued to her body. Abisola had the kind of body that can make any man salivate. His brain stopped working that very moment. Tunde was shocked at what just happened. Confused with a bit of embarrassment, he quickly looked away, thinking maybe this was an accident. Abisola slowly picked the cloth up and walked into her room. Tunde was torn between following her into the room to serve it hot to her that night or restraining the urge, the sight he just beheld as provoked. At the end, the memory of his wife and the relationship she shared with Abisola had the upper hand in his mind, and he controlled himself, not giving in to Abisola's devilish plan. Abisola was mad and very angry. What is even wrong with this foolish man who called himself Tunde? Why is he behaving like a child? Can't he see the handwriting on the wall? She mused angrily to herself. Or am I not beautiful enough for him? Was Ajoke even as beautiful as me? Anyway, Tunde, if I can't get you in an easy way, I will get you the hard way. But just know that I'm not losing you to any other woman. She fumed angrily. While Abisola was planning the best way she will deal with Tunde, Fate had other plans for her. The mechanic who helped her to achieve her devilish plans was back. He reminded Abisola of her promises to him. Abisola had promised him great riches if he helped her on her life Ajoke.
Abisola, why are you behaving this way? You have been avoiding me ever since I helped you. You promised me great riches, which made me to compromise my practice. You want to play a fast one on me, right? I will bring our little secret to light, regardless of the consequences to me.
He threatened her angrily. Abisola pleaded with him to be patient with her. Oga mechanic, Abana, how can you even think of exposing me? See, I have not forgotten you. I have not been able to gain access to Tunde and control his money. Once he gets married to me, then you will benefit greatly. I will give a huge chunk of his wishes to you. Please bear with me, she said. But the mechanic was not swayed by her sweet tongue and insisted on bringing the whole truth to light, even if this revelation will consume him too. Abisola was in a tight corner, afraid that the mechanic may carry out his threat. Abisola secretly went to his place that night, offering her body to the mechanic in exchange for his silence, and the mechanic gladly served it hot to her that night, while urging her to hurry up with her plans, as he may not keep quiet for too long. Abisola was worried and confused. Tunde was not just showing interest in her, and the time for him to return back to sea was drawing near. She thought with the passing of Ajoke, she could get Tunde at a flick of her finger. But well, the opposite was not the case. Abisola knew she must do something and do it really fast. She was ready to do anything to get Tunde to marry her. At this time, Tunde twin babies at the hospital were now matured enough to go home, and Tunde joyfully carried them home amidst more joy from the villagers. Even though Ajoke painfully couldn't make it, her children survived the unfortunate incident, and the children were a constant reminder of Ajoke's big heart and love to the people. Even though Abisola was obviously not happy about the twins' survival, she hid her displeasure within her heart, pretending as if she had the best interest of Tunde family at heart. She took very good care of the children and Tunde home, and soon Tunde returned back to sea. But before going, he repaired Ajoke's car and left it with Abisola to be using for her movements in taking the daughters to the missionary school and taking his little sons to the hospital for their hospital day for proper medical attention. He dropped enough money for Abisola to use in running the expenses of the home and good allowance for her personal upkeep. He also employed a sales girl to manage Ajoke's fabric shop and keep record of her sales to report to him when he come back. This made Abisola very angry, since Ajoke's shop was one of the assets she was aiming at. But well, she kept her cool. While Tunde was away, surprisingly, Abisola did not maltreat the children. She cared for them just as she did when Tunde was around. Whenever Tunde's mother came to check up on the well-being of her grandchildren, Abisola always gave her a very warm reception. She will prepare some of her delicious meal for her. This made Tunde's mother very happy that her grandchildren were in very good hands, and she always sang praises of Abisola to Tunde whenever he came back from sea, not knowing that she was just doing all this to gain their favor, so they can see her as the perfect person to take Ajoke's place in the home. All went on like this for some months until something happened, something even Abisola never saw coming. You see, that mechanic has been constantly blackmailing Abisola with the evil acts they both committed that resulted in the death of Ajoke. Whenever he threatened to tell the whole world their little secrets, Abisola will usually use her body to keep him quiet. Well, this fateful month, Abisola just discovered she was pregnant for the mechanic. Initially, she was confused since this pregnancy will destroy all her chances of ever marrying Tunde. She could not sleep throughout that night. There were 1,000 thoughts running through her mind. But right in the midst of all this confusion and great anxiety, that was when a corny idea crossed her mind. She was surprised and taken aback. She just can't understand why she had not think in this direction all these months. With this new plan up her sleeve, she covered herself with a blanket and slept off. The following week, Tunde returned back from sea with no idea what was waiting for him. If he knew what was in store for him, he would have stayed back at sea. When Tunde got home, Abisola welcomed him warmly. Everyone was happy to see him. That evening, Abisola prepared a very delicious meal for him, egusi soup and pounded yam, his favorites. Soon the children went to bed, but Tunde was still in the living room, sipping a glass of wine and relaxing from his travels. Abisola offered to join him, and he agreed. He cautioned her though to take very little wine so she don't get drunk. Little did Tunde know that his life was about to take a wrong turn. After a while of drinking, Tunde went to the bathroom to ease himself, and this was the golden opportunity Abisola has been waiting for. Abisola laced Tunde's drink with some sleeping pills. Soon Tunde returned Suspecting nothing, he drank from the glass she had drunk, and that was the last thing he remembered. The next morning, Tunde woke up to see himself and Abisola on his bed. They were both without clothes, in each other's arm. Tunde looked on in horror and confusion. He cannot remember making any advances at her or even serving it out to her that night. He concluded maybe they were so drunk they ended up making love to each other. He was very sad, not knowing this was all part of Abisola's plan. When Abisola woke up, she pretended to be surprised and angry. Tunde, how can you do this to me? She said, sobbing. You took advantage of me because you knew fully well that I was drunk, so you slept with me. Tunde, you are a wicked man, she said, crying and blaming Tunde. Tunde consoled her, explaining it was all a mistake.
Abisola, you know I can't do something like this. Maybe I had too much wine. I can't even recall my actions last night. Please forgive me.
He pleaded with her. He was very remorseful. Abisola was very happy, surprised at how easy Tunde has taken the bait. With her first step out of the way, soon the next line of her plans will unfold quickly. Tunde returned back from sea the following month to the news of Abisola's pregnancy, and she told him he was the one responsible. Tunde was shocked beyond words. He was very sad. He blamed himself so much for the mess he was in, blaming it all on his drunkenness, not knowing that this pregnancy was not even his. Confused and not knowing what to do, he confided in his mother to give him advice on the best step to take concerning Abisola's pregnancy. After listening to his son's story, the mother smiled and replied him, Tunde, my son, even before you called for this meeting, I actually had the intention of calling you to discuss a similar matter with you. Well, now that you have called me first, let's discuss it now, she said. You see, it has been over a year your wife, Ajoke, passed on, and you can't stay single and mourn her like this forever. If she was here, she will want you to remarry and move on, she continued in a calm voice. Tunde was silent. Take a good look at Abisola. She has been taking good care of your children and your home since then till now, and she is not getting any younger. Now that she is pregnant for you, I will advise you to marry her, since she has been playing the role of a wife in your home all these months, and your children love her and see her as their mother already. I don't see any better alternative, she said. For a while, Tunde was silent. Then he replied his mother.
Mama, you have spoken well. All you have said is true. Abisola is very kind to my children and take very good care of my home. But if I get married to her, I'm worried about what the people will think of it, judging by how close she was to Ajoke.
He replied her. He was truly confused. My son, people will always talk. Marrying Abisola is the best decision you should take right now. Forget about the rumor mongers. They will soon get tired of talking about you and vent their frustration on someone else, she reassured him. With this reassurance from his mother, Tunde made up his mind to marry Abisola, much to the joy of his mother, not knowing they were about to make the greatest mistake of their life. When Tunde revealed his marriage plan to Abisola, she was overjoyed. She just can't believe this was happening so easily after all the sleepless nights and many failed attempts to get Tunde. Her plan were finally coming to fruition. Because of Abisola's pregnancy, Tunde decided to speed things up with the marriage plan before the pregnancy will become obvious. Not knowing that hell was about to break loose, What do you think will be the fate of Abisola and her pregnancy? Will the mechanic discover her fast move? Will Tunde find out the truth before making the mistake of marrying her? What will be the fate of Ajoke's children? Find out in the part 3 of this story. Thank you for watching today's episode from Anita Chocolate. I have discovered that a huge majority of our viewers are not yet subscribed to this channel. Please, if you are not yet subscribed to Anita Chocolate, please smash the subscription button. It really gives me great joy if you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the part 3 of this story. Bye.